Hi, my ghosties with the mosties. My name is Melissa, and welcome back to Ghosthorse Heathenry. So it's been a hot minute since I have done one of these React videos, so today I'm back with another TikTok React video. So the TikTok React videos we will be reacting to is, once again, the religious backlash videos. So we're going to be listening to some people's commentary and giving our own opinions on these matters. So, I just want to give a little bit of a trigger warning here. If you are religious, that is totally fine. To each their own. These opinions are just my opinions and some other people's opinions who have dealt with really bad backlash from the religious communities. As you noticed, witchy person, so, we deal with a lot of backlash. But yeah, also I have a little bit of a new setup, a new vibe. We have a little sign over there. I will be interchanging the sign. I have two different ones. We will go with the vibe. The other one I have is that one right there, which is a Harry Potter one, which is pretty cool. But today we are going with Beware of the Witches, just to fit the theme. As you guys might have noticed, I also got a new backdrop. I will also be interchanging them with my videos that I filmed, so I have my Mushroom Fantasy one, and then that one there is the Space Dudes. It's like an astronaut and an alien sharing some pizza. So I know in the reaction videos you guys don't really see the tapestries that well, but it adds a little something to the background. But in my other videos you guys will be seeing it more up close and personal. So that's something you can look forward to. Also, if you haven't noticed, I did crop off almost half of my hair, and I'm also wearing a cute little Pikachu necklace today, which is just a little adorable little golden Pikachu. And I have some new interesting additions to my headphones. I got these antlers off of Temu. They have a whole bunch of variety. I mean, not sponsored, I just really love this. They have devil horns, they have dragon horns, they have kitty ears, and then these antlers. And then they're universal and they add to any headphones, so they actually fit on my headphones. I also got some cute kitty paw grips for my controller. You guys might have seen me post about that on TikTok. So, once again, not sponsored at all, and I know there's some mixed reviews about Temu, but I was really happy with my order. The tapestry here I got from a small business called Art House Gaia, which I will link down below, or you can go check out my video where I posted about a bunch of small businesses that you guys can support. I will link that in the description down below as well as the end of this video. So without further ado, let's get into it.
To fight against witchcraft attacks with the authority that Jesus Christ gave us. So first of all, some basic signs that you're under a witchcraft attack are usually depression, anxiety, hearing voices in your head, confusion. Basically anything that's negative is usually an attack by witchcraft. So when witches are usually putting curses on people, they're doing what's called astral projecting, where their spirit is outside of their body, and the only thing that's holding their spirit and their physical body together is what's called the silver cord. As you can see here, there's tons of videos that witches have made about it. In the Bible, in Ecclesiastes 12:6, it actually talks about our spirit being connected to our body with a silver cord. When you recognize that you're under a spiritual witchcraft attack, you simply say, I cut the silver cord in the name of Jesus and rebuke every witchcraft attack on my life. This will permanently end whatever witch is on assignment to attack you in your life. It's happened to me before and I've tried it and it's worked.
So that was a lot, and just a few things. Cutting the silver cord. So you're literally wanting to cut your own soul cord. So that's the only thing that's partially factual in this whole ranting that this guy went on. And this is just, these are all just a bunch of witchy people just laughing at this because this is just so ridiculous. Most of us are just minding our own business. We're not out there cursing you or trying to harm you. But anyway, beware of the witches, But yeah, the whole thing about rebuking, I feel, is kind of a banishing spell in itself. But maybe that's just me. Anyway, I will leave this up to you guys for a personal interpretation. I just thought this was quite a fun video to just add just to start this off, but we're gonna get into some heavier videos, so buckle up.
Hell makes absolutely no sense. Let me explain. You see, I've always been told that if you do evil things here on earth, it's because the devil wants you to do evil things, and you're listening to the devil on your shoulder right here. But if I die and go to hell, I'm told that I'm going to be punished for my entire afterlife, all of eternity. My question is why? Why would the devil run things like that? I mean, it seems to me if I'm an evil person and I do evil things in his name, whenever I get to hell, I wouldn't be greeted with fire and pitchforks. I would be greeted with a hearty handshake and a slap on the back and the devil saying, "Good job! Thank you so much for all your service." I mean, why would I be punished for doing what the devil wants? That would be like me being the #1 sales associate in the company and then getting demoted to the mailroom because I did my job so well. It's poor management to punish people for doing what you want.
Anyway, so yeah, the guy just basically said that that's why, um, he thinks that this is just a really silly concept. So yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, just logically think about that for a minute. Like, if that was the way things were, why would you just be punished for? And also the whole thing about being punished for doing things wrong. Everyone says that God is all loving, and then they say that he's gonna like torture you for eternity if you don't do exactly what he says. But yeah, if the so-called devil did exist, then I feel like he wouldn't be upset with you if you did sin. Like this guy said, why would he punish you? I mean, someone make that make sense, like.
I do say this with no caveat, but people like this are the reason why I'm not a Christian. Sometimes I actually hope that their God is real, and then these people have to explain to their God why they drove people away from their churches. Because, I mean, on paper, Christianity is supposed to be this religion of love, but this isn't love. They've absolutely made it into hatred.
Okay, so I probably have a lot of videos like this in my folders filled of TikTok videos that I've been accumulating for months and months now. So there's a lot of Christians putting hate comments like this on TikTok videos, YouTube videos, or just saying the meanest things, the most hateful things to people who are not a part of their religion. And I agree with this guy. This is also part of the reason why I left Christianity. And if you guys want me to make a full video explaining all the many reasons, or at least just some of the reasons why I left the religion, you know, comment down below and let me know. But this was a major one. Because, there ain't no hate like Christian love. And that is just that's facts. That's straight up facts. So, everyone's like, follow Jesus's teachings, right? Now, Jesus promoted love, loving each other regardless of everything. And people have just turned it into, I'm right, you're wrong, and if I'm right, then, and if I'm right and everything you do is wrong, then I should condemn you for everything you do wrong. Now, it's perfectly fine to believe whatever you want to believe, but it is not okay to push that beliefs onto other people. Other people have the brain cells, hopefully, to make their own decisions and choices, to choose their own path, to choose their own beliefs. And it's not even about morals, because I hear a lot of people talking about how if you're not religious, then you don't have morals, which is simply just not true. If you need a book or a person or a made up entity, or even if it's a real entity, to exist in order for you to be a good person, then are you really a good person? You know what I'm saying?
You're 100% wrong. God didn't invent evil. Satan is clearly confusing you. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things.
Okay, so you guys will see me make a lot of videos of her. I have quite a bunch of her videos in my playlist here. She is a wonderful creator, and she deals with hate comments on the daily. I really like her point of views and her perspective on things, and I just like how she snaps back with like actual facts that's actually written in the Bible that people mislooked, and it's amazing. But she has also dealt with so much hate, like people coming to her house and things like that to like try and convert her. It's insane. But yeah, you'll see me probably post some more videos about her. But yeah, people say that, go study the Bible, but like half of them don't even know it themselves. In fact, most of us who aren't part of the religion actually know it more, which is one of the reasons why we left in the first place.
How can you not believe in God?
Which one?
What do you mean?
Well, Zeus,
Who?
Greek god, or Ra, or Ganesh,
No, not those ones. The real one in the Bible.
Yahweh.
Just God.
Well, you know how you don't believe in all those other gods I mentioned? That's how I don't believe in yours.
How can you not believe that someone created all this, though?
Why do you believe that someone created it all?
Because it's so good. Can't just be chance, can it? What, the Big Bang? Everything came from nothing? That's impossible.
You're right, God did it.
Right.
So where did God come from?
He's always been around.
There you go. Easy, isn't it?
Right.
Go on.
If you're atheist
I am.
and you don't believe in an
I
afterlife,
don't.
if you don't believe in heaven and hell and all that, why don't you just go around raping and murdering as much as you want?
I do.
What?
I do go around raping and murdering as much as I want, which is not at all.
Because he's got a conscience.
This right here is comedy gold. That is the best. Now, this is a very common thing that we face in the spiritual communities where we're being asked all these silly questions, and we understand because those things make sense to us. But then they ask us these stupid questions thinking that we're stupid. And when we ask them the same questions back, they never have an answer. Because everything is just, it is the way it is with them. They don't actually give you reasons or facts or, there's no thinking pattern going on. It's just basically reciting what they learned. Whereas spirituality encourages you, like the guy said, like to actually have a conscience. So this video is just the best. I honestly, the first time I watched this, I was like almost crying with laughter. It's just so well done. I love this skit. It's just great. So let's hop on to the next one.
I get some version of this comment a lot because I speak up for LGBTQIA plus people. I'm leading people to hell. I'm going to hell. I'm a false teacher. I'm a false prophet. I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing. May God strike me down. Somebody should put a bullet in my head. Somebody should beat me to death with a baseball bat. And I gotta say, all of that feels extremely loving and very Christ-like. So thank you for that. And I can see why so many people are flocking to churches like yours. But let's just say for a moment that you're right. Say I'm completely wrong and God really is a bloodthirsty, vindictive monster who hates gay and lesbian people, despite the fact that God makes so many of them. If that's true, and those folks are all going to hell, I would rather go with them than spend 5 minutes in heaven with a God like that, or spend 15 seconds in heaven with a Christian like you.
So, my point exactly. Now, as someone who's actually part of the LGBTQ community, as a bisexual person, I feel this very deeply. Now, a lot of people don't actually know about my sexuality since I am dating and am engaged to a man. So I am in a hetero relationship, but that doesn't mean that I'm not bi, you know? So a lot of people don't understand that. Like, not a lot of people know that I am actually by, the people that's close to me. So it's just, I hear a lot of homophobic things from people close to me and religious people. And well, sadly, a lot of the people I know is very religious too. So they're, most of them are good people. It's just, it's complicated, because it's just generations of brainwashing. And, you know, if they want to believe what they want to believe, fine. But, I get a lot of like crap for my tattoos. If more people knew about my sexuality, I'd probably get a lot more crap for that too. But just being a part of the LGBTQ community, I see a lot of drama and conflict within the community. And even though that's not directed at me, it still affects me because I am a part of the community. So it's just, the guy, what he says is totally, it makes sense. Like, once again, we're getting to the point where, they are driving people away from churches. They are the biggest reason why most people end up leaving religion. And then they go on like they're the victims, and that somehow people who are preaching different things are wrong. And I really appreciate an actual religious pastor coming on here who advocates for a little bit more alternative things. Because I have actually been at a lesbian wedding. It was my father's cousin that got married. They were married by a gay female priest, and it was a lovely wedding. And you don't see too much of that, especially where I'm from. I'm from South Africa, so we don't see a lot of churches being open to stuff like that. So it's always refreshing to have that.
When are we as a society going to recognize that Christianity is an oppressive, violent religion? When are we going to talk about the fact that they are responsible for almost every single genocide of people of color all across the globe? When are we going to talk about the thousands upon thousands of baby bones that were found buried outside of Catholic churches? What did they do to these babies? Why did so many of them die, and why was not a single one of their deaths reported? When are we going to talk about the fact that Texas is trying to take trans kids away from their parents if their parents support their decision to live as who they are? Or the fact that it's now illegal for someone to even mention the word gay in school in Florida. If a student even so much as talks about the fact that his parents or her parents are gay, then he can get in trouble, and a teacher could get fired for it. So I guess we're just going to write gay people out of the history book, so we're not going to learn that gay people were a target in the Holocaust now? Christ taught to be loving, kind, charitable, giving, to stand up against oppression. Christianity as an institution teaches fear, hatred, evil, violence. That shouldn't be your God.
I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with everything. So it's a very oppressive religion, and it is. It's like people just have to face facts. The Bible itself is littered with so much bloodshed and murder, especially of children. And if you actually go read it, there is just a whole lot of messed up stuff. Frankly, I don't know how it's appropriate for anyone under 18 to read the Bible. So I guess that's why we have kids' Bibles, I guess. But it's painful to, see that a lot of these atrocities in the world are being committed by religious people. And don't even get me started on the Catholics. Like, they are one of the worst genres, I guess, of Christianity that there are. And they also practice some really dark stuff. I can get into it in a different video if you guys want to hear more about why the Catholic Church is so horrible. But they are just responsible for a lot of dark things in the world, and it's like a lot of the things that some people think are conspiracy theories are actually not. Like, to give you guys an idea, it's like some things are so bad that people honestly think it's conspiracy theories. It's just, not to say that all conspiracy theories are true or anything, it's just that there are some dark things and some secret governments and things that actually exist, and some dark forces that are like controlling certain things in the world, and they originate from mostly the Catholic Church. And to give you guys an idea about the Catholic Church, if you go read about Roman history, just all of it, it was just a lot of brutal torture, bloodshed, and interestingly enough, the Romans were known to actually execute Christians. They offed Christians. They brutally tortured and murdered a lot of Christians. And it's interesting because then eventually, they crucified Jesus, and then somewhere along the line they turned and they became a form of Christianity. So, but the Catholic Church is, but the Catholic Church originates from Roman heritage. So, just a little idea about how messed up that is.
The Christian God is not going to judge women for having an abortion. Hecate is a goddess that is ancient, that is way older than this angry, petty liar of a Christian God. He creates wars and he creates division and he creates pain. He forces himself on other people. It is vile and it is disgusting. Is it no wonder that a couple of the Supreme Court justices who are forcing this disgusting law into being have forced themselves on women? If you're a woman who may need an abortion, who has had an abortion, who has been in any position where an unwanted pregnancy has happened, I want you to know that Hecate sees you. She's gathering up the marginalized. She has a horde of restless dead around her. The restless dead are nothing to be afraid of. They are those who were marginalized by society and put to death or died in ways that brought them shame from society. Poor women, women who were starved, women who died in childbirth that wasn't sanctioned by the men, women who died from abortions that were done in back alleys. I am just so sick of the Christians talking like they fucking know what they're talking about. Some commenter that I have blocked that I should probably just move on from said something like, I'm pro-life. These women who have abortions will be judged before God one day, so I don't need to worry about them. No, fuck that. They will not be judged. Hecate will gather them up and she will ensure that their pain ends in the afterlife. And if you're an atheist or something else, or you don't work with Hecate, I don't care. What I'm saying is that is my belief, and we all have to start speaking out against this. These Christians think that they can come into our space and give us all this judgmental bullshit about what God will or will not do. I don't want to hear anything more about their God. And if they want to tell me all about their God, then they can hear about my God. And my God thinks that they're a bunch of garbage. My goddess is sick and tired of the way women are being treated. She is sick of this Christian God. He refuses to play well with others. He must be the only one. He must rule everyone. No, there is room for all of us. My goddess, your gods, all of us. Stop hurting the women who are already hurting.
Absolutely. I just want to take a moment here to, appreciate that in my country we don't have all that stuff that went down over in America where the abortion stuff became illegal. Here we can still get relatively safe abortions. And I am someone who is child free by choice. I got a tubal ligation. I can talk about my entire procedure if you guys are interested in that in different video. If you want to hear about all the reasons why I did it and how the procedure went and everything that entails that. But abortion is a very serious topic, and I believe women should have a choice. I just want people to think logically about it. That is tissue. Cells, okay? The baby doesn't form until like a little bit into the pregnancy. And if a guy, like, jacks office and there is little cells, little cell juice, shall we call it, um, how many cells are being ended during that process of, maturation? Masturbation. So, like, yeah, that is. I don't know why people think they have the right to dictate what other people do to their body. Do you know how many people. I'm 24 now. I got my tubal ligation, I think, at 22. I'm not completely sure. I think it was 22. Anyway, that should also be more normalized because so many women are struggling to get that procedure done too. So it's not like you cannot have children if you got a tubal ligation. You can still have a child, but you're gonna have to do the implantation thing and it's gonna cost a lot of money. But then again, if you have that much money to afford the procedure, then you're definitely financially capable of taking care of a child. So I think in a way that's better. So this whole thing that went down with the women's rights, it's just the fact that it has been decided by majority men is what's bothering me. And it's not like a feminist thing. Like it's just I feel like people that don't know jack about pregnancy shouldn't have the right to vote over what you do with your body. And also, why the heck is most of our leaders old as hell? Why are most of our leaders old as shit? Shouldn't our country be governed by someone who's still going to be around to live with the consequences of the choices they're making? Anyway, some other topics that she brought up in the video, Hecate. She's actually a wonderful goddess. I work with her personally. She's one of the 5 deities that I'm currently working with. I work with Anubis, Lucifer, Hecate, Ares, and Aphrodite. Now, Ares is also a really great deity to work with if you've experienced any type of sexual violence or if you are struggling with this abortion thing, because he fights for things like that. He fights for women's right. He fights for women's rights and he protects women. Aphrodite, she's all about self-love, caring, nurturing, and femininity. So she's also really good to work with in matters like this. Hecate, like she said, Hecate is mostly the goddess of witchcraft and necromancy, but she did midwife stuff when she was alive, and she can most definitely also be a very guiding light to people who are dealing with this situation. And then Lucifer, look, he doesn't mess with stuff like this. Okay, if he sees people being disrespected, especially people who are being like this pushed down, victimized, like most women are currently being pushed down. He will not stand for that shit, okay? So he's also wonderful to work with for all that. And then Anubis. He's the goddess of death and rebirth. So going into abortions, I think Anubis would also be a very good deity to help guide that process and to help you gain an understanding of how souls come into this world. Because how would it explain? A soul doesn't enter the body while it's in the womb, okay? It only enters the body after the baby is outside. So even if you're doing an abortion, it's just going to be tissue. There's not a living thing. The brain isn't considered, I mean, people consider heartbeat and brain, but there is no soul yet, so it's technically not a living being. So Anubis can help you gain insights on all of that stuff. But if you guys want me to talk about it, to talk about my deities or other deities and different aspects that they help with, I will be more than willing to do so. I actually petitioned all of my deities to help me get my triple ligation done, and I was so lucky to get the first doctor I went to. She was an amazing doctor. She helped me, and I was just lucky because I thought I was gonna have to, be that person like second opinion, because it's so hard to actually get the procedure done, and especially in my age too. I was like, I didn't think they were gonna do it, but I was trying for years to get the procedure done, and then I petitioned my deities, and it happened just like that. So yeah, that is just a whole rant about deities and like the whole abortion thing. But if you are anyone struggling with this, like, it's okay not to want kids. It's okay, like, one more thing that I just want to bring up. Like, if you've been through some type of sexual assault and that resulted in a pregnancy, why the heck would someone expect you to carry that child to term? Or a child that gets impregnated? Like, who would want the child to carry the baby to term? Like, there was that whole story. I don't remember exactly the details of it, but there was this like 11-year-old girl, and there was an entire court case about it because she got pregnant by, sexual abuse and assault, and they actually wanted her, because of the new laws and stuff, to carry that to term. So, you know, the morals of the people governing us are messed up, and frankly, I think we should all just pray to all the gods, all the different gods that you guys worship, to try and fix this freaking planet, because things are just getting crazier and weirder. It's freaking insane.
I have two problems with prayer. And if you're a Christian, I'd really like your input. The first problem: if we are praying for a man who has cancer and this man lives, we will say it's an answer to prayer. If this man dies, suffers more, suffers less, we will say God took him, praise the Lord. If any of those same results could have happened without praying or praying to someone else, why pray at all? It seems like I could have gotten the same results by praying to a fire hydrant outside. And my second problem is mainly geared towards the evangelicals when they say it's not a religion, it's a relationship. How do you know that when you pray, you're just not convincing yourself that you're being heard? How do you actually know that God hears you? And if you hear him audibly, how do you know you're not schizophrenic? Human beings are very prone to look for patterns and events. And how do we know that it's not just our nature convincing us that the prayer is being answered and our own psychology taking over to convince us that it is? I think these are fair questions.
Those are absolutely fair questions. So, I agree. Like, prayer in itself is a very, very weird concept. And my biggest thing with the relationship part is a relationship is a two-way street. So if you're just praying and going by blind faith, that's a one-way relationship. And that's actually considered, in psychology, toxic relationship. So there's that. But yeah, then again, if you are like being answered, are you sure you don't have any mental illnesses? You know? So I don't know, Christians just like looking for circumstantial things, and then they, the doctor will save the life of someone, and they'll be like, give all the praise to the Lord, or they will win an achievement because they studied hard. They will give all the praise to God, and take no recognition, not praise themselves for their hard work and their dedication that they put into it. And if something goes wrong, oh by golly. don't get me started. So Christians will have multiple different responses to something going wrong. Either the number one thing that they like saying is God works in mysterious ways. The second thing they like to do is blame Satan, because everything that goes wrong is just automatically Satan's fault, even though he may not exist. And even though, if he exists, though, why would God have created him in the first place? That just makes no sense either. And then another response that Christians often have to things going wrong is they will neglect prayer and they will not pray. And sometimes this is not a very conscious thing, it's like a very subconscious thing that happens, but some Christians only pray when things are going good and not when things are going bad. So that's just another pattern that I've noticed as well.
You are under the influence of Satan, and that's why what you're doing is evil. Oh man, for real? Yeah. See, that's wild, because the thing is, I just don't feel like I'm being controlled by Satan. Well, you wouldn't. Why is that? Well, see, the devil is the ultimate deceiver. It's what he does. He's like the best deceiver in the universe. He's like a cosmic wizard whose ultimate power is deception, lies, and trickery, and he wouldn't be any good at deceiving people if they could easily tell that he was deceiving them. Now, would he? But I really feel like I'm doing the right things and trying my best to be a good person. That's exactly right. That's how Satan works. He convinces you that you're doing the right thing. That's how he gets you. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah. Hey, I just had a thought. What if you're the one being deceived by Satan? That's not possible. Why not? I would know. How? I would feel it in my loins. Right, but you just said that that's how he does it, right? He tricks you into feeling like you're doing the right thing. But I'm really sure that I'm not being tricked. Right, but you just said that he's really good at tricking people into thinking that they're not being tricked. He's like the best person in the universe at tricking people into thinking that... You know, it's just that God wouldn't, he wouldn't be any good at deceiving people if you could easily tell that you were being deceived. You just said that, right? Right, but the Bible, right? You know, I got the Bible, and that says that I'm not being tricked in there and that I'm on the right team. So wouldn't that be a really clever way to trick someone, though? Like if a villain wrote a whole book about how he's actually the good guy and the real good guy is the bad guy, and then he convinced a bunch of people that the book is from the divine creator of the universe and it can't be questioned, so if anyone ever wonders whether they're being tricked by the book, they can just circular logic gaslight themselves into not questioning because the book says they don't have to. But I'm a good person who does good things. That's actually a really good point. That's how we can know if one of us is being tricked by an evil guy to do evil things. We just need to look at the things we both do and see which things seem good and which things seem bad. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So I'm really big on treating everyone with kindness and love, no matter how they were born. I believe every person deserves healthcare, food, housing, education. I believe that prejudice and hate are anti-intellectual, regressive traits that need to be eradicated in order for the species to flourish and progress. Right, and I believe that the world is a meritocracy where only the elite deserve to live nice, happy, comfortable lives, and that there's a very narrow window for the kind of person that can get into heaven, and everyone outside of that narrow window is an evil sinner who is going to be smitten by the righteous sword of a vengeful and wrathful God, and they will be tortured forever in the fires of hell as penance for their iniquities. Right. So... Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, indeed. So that is actually a theory that I've heard before. So that would be a very clever way. I mean, if you think about it from a logical stance, that would be the ultimate deception, which is allegedly what Satan's all about, right? Ultimate deceiver. So that would be... that sounds about right. So I can't really say it any better than the skit showcased it. But I do want to add a little something. A lot of people, I've heard this theory like a bunch of times, a lot of people have a theory that the Christian God is Loki in disguise. Now, there's a bunch of tiny evidences that kind of backs up the story. What the most obvious one is being that Loki's daughter, I think's name is Hel, and like Hel is the place of torment. She's like the goddess of the underworld, afterlife stuff. So that's interesting. Also, the whole part where he was like, because Loki is very jealous, so the whole part where they said, "You shall not worship any other gods beside me." First off, that is admitting that there is other gods out there. And secondly, that sounds a lot like Loki because he is a jealous god and he wants all the attention and worship to himself. And then there's just a few other tidbits in the Bible that kind of gives off Loki vibes, but he is the ultimate trickster as well. He is a deceiver. So that's also a very plausible theory. Either way, in my opinion, what whether either of these theories are true or not, in my personal opinion, the Christian God, as depicted in the Bible, is evil and sadistic and misogynistic and just is not a good guy. So
I get this question a lot. How are you a doctor and an atheist when you see the wonders of the human body every single day? So I'm going to try to break this down for you guys in less than 3 minutes. So I would consider myself an agnostic atheist, meaning that I don't believe in God, but I can't say for certain that there is no God. And as a doctor, I see the flaws of the human body every single day. It's part of my job. And if there is a designer behind our bodies, they should be fired immediately because there are so many flaws, and we should talk about some of them.
So I'm going to tag this creator in the caption so you can go back and watch his entire video. It's really good. But he talks about a lot of flaws in our body or things that just like don't have a purpose within our body. And this is a good point because why would our all-powerful designer make such a bad design? There's a lot of things about our bodies that aren't positives for us. My only thought as to what people could come up with when it comes to this question is, well, like, there's sin in the world. So either God added more suffering after sin just for funsies, or he just isn't a great designer and he's not that powerful or smart. But it's great hearing this information from a doctor, someone who actually has studied and knows the body, because it's really simple to look at a human and see them living and breathing and say, oh, look how perfect that design is. But when you take a closer look, it's not that good of a design. In my opinion, that would line up more with evolution because evolution is anything but perfect.
I agree. I also believe in the stance of evolution because if you do look at certain parts of our bodies are rejecting certain parts, I guess, because it's no longer needed. One of those being the appendix, which is a very common one. I still have mine, but a lot of people's appendixes just decide to pop out because they don't want to be there anymore, because those are used to filter poisons. Now, since we're not out there foraging and eating a lot of poisons, that organ doesn't have a vital function anymore. Then there are tonsils. Doesn't have much of a function anymore, also to process poisons and sicknesses and the bacteria, things like that. And then you get your wisdom tooth. Mine is removed. I still have my tonsils, but they give me crap every now and then, like chronic tonsillitis issues. But yeah, my wisdom tooth was removed though. Those are supposed to be extra teeth. Now our mouths are getting tinier because our food, we eat it with a fork or a spoon or a chopstick or whatever. It's tiny, it fits in the mouth, you chew it. There's no need to like have to our meat and shit. Like, so extra teeth ain't necessary, so they just become a problem and we have to get them removed. There's a lot of other issues with the body. The doctor at the start of this video listed a few things, one being your oxygen and your your swallowing, it's like, why is it like in the same, it's a choking hazard. Okay, so the oxygen and then the food is supposed to go into the same freaking hole, but there's two tubes and they're like next to each other, and I choke a lot. Like, I'm neurodivergent, like choking is just apparently a more common thing for us. Like, I would just choke on my own spit or just take a sip of cool drink and just freaking choke. Like, it sucks, but it's a really crap design. And if you look at some other freaking body functions and designs, like our neck is another thing I think he pointed out, is like the neck and like with the spine and shit. When you get older, you get back problems, neck problems, hip problems, things like that, because the way our spine is aligned is not supportive to keep the body up that way throughout the whole life. He explained it better. Go watch his original videos. I will list the creators. He just made some very valid points, and I just thought I'd like browse over them slightly, but there are so many design flaws. And like take this for example, like my bad eyesight. Yeah, beautiful design just to give people with lighter eyes being more prone to having bad eyesight. And then there is also, like, again, I'm neurodivergent. That's not a great little tidbit that it's technically a defect. It's a disability. Not fun. Both of my brothers were severely disabled. They died young. It's a big part of why I left Christianity, why I stopped believing in religion, and also that showed a lot of flaws with the human bodies as well. So I did talk about that in some videos. I can talk about the whole thing again. I'm not gonna stretch it out because I like to rant and ramble on about things, neurodivergent thing. But anyway, we're just gonna get through these. I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. If you are, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already.
Why is it atheists know the Bible better than those who are meant to read it? Well, there are many reasons why that may be. To put it bluntly, in one example, you'll find that a lot of people are atheists because they read the Bible. And of course, this doesn't apply to everybody. You'll find plenty of Christians who have read the Bible and are still believers. But what's worth considering here is that these people often already believed in God before they read the Bible, and therefore, whenever they come across the challenging questions, the more horrific parts, the questionable bits in the Bible, they tend to fill in the gaps with their understanding of God being all-knowing, all-just, and having a plan for everybody. And because they believe that the Bible is the Word of God, they believe that because God is so perfect and can't make mistakes, there can't be any mistakes in the Bible, and so therefore there aren't any mistakes in the Bible. A good example of this actually would be Frank Turek, who a few years ago on a debate show, while challenged on the question of babies getting cancer, said confidently in a microphone that there was nothing wrong with babies getting cancer because it's all relative. You know you have a problem when you'll go through this level of mental gymnastics to make excuses for a holy book.
I have a whole bunch to say about that. So I had two disabled brothers, both died young. Part of why I left religion was because of things religious people were saying, that they were going to pray and they were just going to magically not be disabled anymore. Things like that. Then it's just Christians don't see any wrong with their actions, and this doesn't count for all Christians, but there was this whole post. I don't know if I had that video, maybe the video is somewhere in these folders of all these rabbit holes of TikTok videos that I've been accumulating, but there was another TikTok video where they talked about witches being burned, and like the girl had like a bumper sticker or something on her car that said, like, it was something along the lines of the context being that they didn't burn witches, they burned women. And then a Christian guy came on, he decided to make a video about it, and he said, what's wrong with burning women? Yeah, just let that sink in. Now this make me think of the same thing about the babies getting cancer. It's messed up. And Christians love saying that God has a plan, God works in mysterious ways. It's bullshit. Anyway, this guy's a really awesome creator. I know him as the TikTok Jesus. He cosplays Jesus a lot. I've got into multiple altercations in the comment section with people attacking me for no reason. And I usually comment nice things on his videos because that's what I do with creators. And the one particular video that I comment on, I think he did like a devil cosplay thing to just shake things up a bit. And I commented something about, it looks nice, it suits you. it's just about vibing with it, okay? And then some fucking Christian came and attacked me in the comments section and wanted me to repent and said I was going to hell, and I don't remember half of it. It's always just the same cycle over and over, so I don't really care to remember much of it. But the things they do to justify their actions.
I was talking with one of my Christian friends yesterday. Yes, I do have Christian friends, and she was talking to me about the abortion issue, and I wanted to share with you what she said. She said that God gave us free will, and that means that we should always have the ability to choose what it is that we want to do with our lives. In her view, forcing God's plan on people by trying to legislate morals or laws in the Bible completely goes against us being given free will. And so, in regard to potentially overthrowing Roe v. Wade, she and her church members are going out and contacting their legislatures and joining those that are in the protest, because not only is creating laws on abortion anti-constitutional, it's also anti-God.
Okay, so like I said, I accumulated these videos for months upon months, probably almost a year, to be honest. This whole issue about this legislation, it was just horrible. And there is actually a law that says that you cannot use religious views to legislate. And that's exactly what some officials decided to do. And it's actually pretty illegal because there are many religions. So using only one to enforce rules, there's just so much wrong with it. And it goes a lot deeper than the surface, and it's messed up. And I also have Christian friends and families, and some of them are very logical and make sense. Like this, we can talk to them, they understand things. And then there's just the ones that we mostly talk about here on my channel that are the sheepy ones, that's the dumb ones, and the just I don't know what to call them at this point. Like, it's just the freaking Christies, like, I mean, let's call them the Christies. Like, it's like Christian Karens, Christies. We're gonna go with that for this. Because I feel bad every time I like kind of say like Christians, because I know not all Christians are bad and whatever, but in the context of most of my videos, most of the ones I talk about are. So maybe we should call the bad ones Christies. Is for now on going to be known henceforth on my channel as the Christian Karens, the Christies.
Okay, let's pretend for a second that A, souls exist, and that B, pain is not a function of our brain, but instead something that a soul can actually feel. So in this fantasy of yours, the Lord comes back. He looks at my soul and he finds me wanting. He decides that I am so evil and so bad that I deserve an eternity of unending torment. And knowing, of course, that no one can grow or learn or change while they're in pain, there is actually no function to this at all except getting out his rage. But don't worry, your fate is not mine. You know where you're going. And sure enough, God looks at your soul and he sends you to heaven. Now you get to spend an eternity with the being who sent me and millions of other humans to eternal torment. Are you excited about that? Does that sound like a good time? Thankfully you escaped my fate, but are you actually happy knowing how many are suffering right below your feet? Is this your heaven and your definition of happiness?
The sad part of it is that is their happiness, that is their idea of, heaven. You'll also see me make videos about this woman a lot. I think I probably added her in some of my previous ones as well. She is an atheist, and she is also someone that I follow quite a lot. Her points of views and her beliefs are just very on point and aligned with most of my beliefs. Now, I do consider myself to be more of a heathen, a witch, but she's atheist, and honestly, most of my views and morals aligns more with atheism. And there are different versions of atheism, so maybe I'm just like kind of in a different branch of it, but labels are just it's over exaggerated.
If Satan causes all of the suffering in the world, and God is the one who put Satan in the world with foreknowledge, then God is responsible for everything Satan does. And I'll say this, I'll lay it out, and Christians respond and they say, but free will. Satan has free will just like you do. Except Satan doesn't just have free will. Satan has special abilities. He has special powers where he can roam around, being omnipresent on the earth, getting into people's minds, meddling in their lives, creating all of these disasters, spreading all of this evil all over the earth. And God does not stop him. No, God created him with intent. God created him knowing exactly what Satan would become. And instead of going, maybe I shouldn't create this dude, just chose to create him anyway, and then give him special powers, and then send him down to earth so he can live with you and mess everything up around you. And then you worship the guy that created him and put him here. And you say, well, it's not his fault, it's Satan's fault. Except for God could snap Satan out of existence. God could have never created Satan in the first place. God could have chosen not to instill these very special abilities within Satan that allows him to go around the earth doing whatever he wants. When people start realizing that the God they worship is an actual monster and isn't concerned with their well-being or their happiness or free will or freedom at all, because, at the end of it all, he's still going to toss Satan into hell. He's still going to toss people into hell that don't believe in him. He's really just kind of concerned with making sure that all of his little minions obey him and worship him and love him and adore him no matter what he does. Then you start realizing that maybe it's made up. Maybe this God isn't actually real. That is a very scary realization to come to, but a lot of people eventually kind of get to that point because some of us realize that we just can't keep making excuses for this God anymore, and that this God is completely incompatible with a God that loves us. And realizing the inconsistencies could lead you down a road where you might realize that someone's just made this shit up, and you don't have to oblige yourself to it anymore.
So yes, it is very plausible that someone could have just made it all up, because the Bible itself was written by people. And it was changed and rewritten and translated by a whole bunch of other people. So it's very, very likely that most of it's probably just made up, but some of it might also just be historical facts. And whether or not it has spiritual significance, I cannot say. But this kind of reminds me, the whole thing about the Christies, man, like, they remind me of this scene from, they remind me of the scene from Disenchantment. I will try to, just add a short clip in here because you guys have to see it, it's hilarious.
Sorry, I've lost track. What are we praying for now?
Oh, we are praying, Sister Tiabini, that God might see fit to help the poor.
If you want to help the poor, why don't you just melt this God guy down and pass him out like coins? I mean, cut out the middleman, right, guys?
Blasphemer! How dare you bring logic into God's house?
How dare you bring logic into God's house? Like, it's hilarious. It gets me every time. It's like, it's just the most accurate representation of Christies that I've ever seen.
You really don't believe in God?
No, I don't see any evidence.
Evidence? I could literally bring you to thousands of Christians, myself included, who have personally felt God in their heart. You're gonna say we're all wrong?
Hi, how are you? If I could just have a moment of your time, I would love to talk to you about the wonderful works of Vishnu.
What?
Oh, I'm just trying to spread the good news of Hinduism. Are you serious right now?
None of that is real. Now, if you would like, I could introduce you to a book where donkeys and serpents talk. Vishnu is real. I literally feel them in my heart. And so many other people can attest to that. You're gonna tell me the 1.2 billion people practicing Hinduism, they're all wrong? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now get out of here. Anyway, where was I?
You were just telling me about how you and the other 2 billion Christians feel God in your heart and all of you guys can't be wrong.
Ah, yes, thank you. All 2 billion of us can't be wrong.
Wow, so you really believe in God?
With my whole heart.
And you believe every word in the Bible is true?
Of course.
And just how strong would you say that your faith in God is?
Honestly, it's beyond measure. I couldn't even begin to quantify it for you.
You know what? You sold me. I think I'm ready to accept God into my life.
Oh, that's wonderful! I can't wait for you to see the good works God is going to do when he comes into your life and
no, me neither. But first drink this.
What's this?
Bleach.
Why would I
Drink that? Wouldn't I get sick and possibly die? I thought you believed every word of the Bible. I do. Didn't Jesus say in Mark 16 that believers should go out and preach the word? Yeah, he did, and we do that. Right, and then he goes on to say that he will accompany all believers and they will be able to cast out demons, speak in tongues, and they'll be able to drink deadly poisons and won't be hurt. Now, I've definitely seen believers speak in tongues and cast out demons in church, but y'all never drink poison. Why is that?
Maybe that's because that part is figurative.
So okay, casting out demons, speaking in tongues, and healing the sick were all literal. But when he mentioned drinking poison, that alone was figurative. In that same verse, by the way.
It doesn't matter either way because you can't test God.
I'm not testing God, I'm testing you. I asked you how strong was your faith and are you really a believer? Because according to Jesus, if you believe, you should be able to do this. I mean, the devil was able to test Job's faith without testing God himself. So how is this different?
You just took it out of context.
Excuse me?
You just took it out of context.
Come again, say what?
Out of context!
That is always what they say. They take everything out of context and change it to fit their views, and then they're like, no, you took it out of context. Yeah, every time something doesn't match their beliefs or aren't in alignment with what they're doing, they're like, it was meant figuratively, not literally. And honestly, no. Like, this is just quite on point. So, most of those things that you see in churches of the like healing the sick and speaking in tongues, I've been to a church like that, by the way. It's just showmanship, bro. It's quite a spectacle, though. It's very interesting to witness.
I have a question, right? Why is it that when there is a verse that puts God's ethics and morality in question, like for example, where he tells people, slaughter everybody, but keep the virgin little girls for yourselves, or if there's a real world situation that again calls God's ethics and morality into question, like not intervening when priests are sexually assaulting children or when 9 people are being unalive while praying to him, the go-to answer is typically that God is mysterious and we as humans just can't understand him, which is wonderful, right? I love a good cop-out. But here's my question. How do y'all understand him enough to know to, protest abortion clinics? How do y'all understand him enough to know to hate gay people? I guess my question is he only mysterious when there's a verse or a situation that makes him look immoral and unethical? Is he only mysterious when there's questions that y'all can't answer? Because it seems to me, whenever y'all ready to be a bigot, he takes off the hood of mystery and you know exactly what he meant.
This guy right here gets it. He totally gets it. Now, there has been some statistics, okay? Now, I don't have the statistics, so please don't ask me for it, but I have seen statistics of these Christian riots where they would go to abortion clinics and protest, and apparently they do violent things, like sometimes they throw rocks and things. Now, according to the statistics, they have killed more people than the babies that were being aborted by protesting abortion. So if they're so pro-life, why would they end the lives of so many people who were just attempting to get an abortion, which isn't even like a full-fledged life? Like I said earlier, it's not in the body, not a human being yet. So they would rather off the people than have them get an abortion. They're already people existing in the world. Yeah.
Hi. We're going to pray for you. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you in your...
Yeah, you're pretty awful people, actually. And ironically, pretty awful Christians, according to your own doctrine. There are whole passages in the Bible that say to be wary of those who pray too loudly in too public of spaces. For they only want the attention, but have no actual faith. Now, I'm not religion or Christian, so I don't really give a damn about that either way. But if somebody asks you politely, like that commenter was doing, to please not pray for them because they don't believe in that, I really don't think it's that difficult to respect them.
I absolutely, wholeheartedly agree. I made a whole video, go check it out, about how prayers can curse. Go check out that video because it basically talks exactly about this thing. It talks about unconsensual prayer, and I just went on a whole tangent about that. So yeah, unconsensual prayer, it's a thing, and it can be harmful. And I just feel like it's so, I hate unsolicited stuff, you know, like unsolicited opinions and prayers and just what the heck ever else. Like, how would people be like if I just went around and be like, you know, like, I'm gonna pray for you in the name of Lord Lucifer, like, or if I was just like going door to door and be like, have you heard about our Lord and Savior Lucifer and Hecate and like Anubis and Ares and Aphrodite? You know, people would look at you like you're insane. My question is just how are Christians allowed to openly practice their religions in any spaces? And, you know, other people of other religions are like looked down upon and we look like we're insane. I mean, Hinduism and Buddhism are mostly kind of like accepted nowadays too, but people like me is most of our stuff ain't like considered to be okay, which is, I mean, if it's publicly acceptable to wear a cross, why isn't it publicly acceptable to wear a pentagram? And yes, I could wear a pentagram in public, but do you know what happens? I actually have a very next video to show you about that thing, but what's gonna happen is you're gonna be met with judgment. If you're out in public with a cross, no one bats a freaking eye. It's just, I'm tired of these double standards, okay? Like, and then Christians are always like thinking they're the victimized ones and that they're being oppressed. Yeah.
You seem to be under a misconception that I am Christian or Christian adjacent. I'm not. Growing up, my dad was Roman Catholic. My mom was Wiccan. Both of them did not practice openly. My dad didn't go to Mass, he didn't go to church, and my mom wasn't part of a coven. That being said, I grew up with this symbol. I also grew up, because my dad was Roman Catholic, knowing a lot of history of the church, which is honestly the reason why I'm not Christian. Anyway, moving along, here's a small history lesson for you, because you made the mistake of calling this a satanic medallion, and that is insulting as fuck. So I'm going to educate you, just in case you just didn't know. Again, not attacking you, you're just wrong. This is called a pentagram. It's old as fuck. This was used in ancient Mesopotamia to represent perfection. It was used as a protective symbol. It has been found on tombs and on seals and in tombs in ancient Egypt as protection. The ancient Greek philosophers used this symbol, again, as protection, perfection. There are images of a similar version, pentagram, but with the Greek letters of health around each point. Not a bad symbol. Also, nothing to do with Christianity. Moving a little forward in history, medieval knights would use this to show the 5 main virtues. Sir Gawain, I'm probably mispronouncing that. Sir Gawain had this on his shawl that he wore and on his equipment as protection against evil spirits and demons on his travels. 16th century, an updated version of this came out, I think by a fucking Frenchman or some shit. Basically showing that this was man's perfected version of God. You know, the head, hands, and feet. It also has been used to represent the 5, again, 16th century, known planets at the time. It's been used to represent the elements. It's been used to represent the golden ratio by artists. Not a bad symbol yet, right? Okay, let's move forward a little bit. Late 19th century, this was used by Freemasons, sometimes with a G in the center, to represent the Grand Architect. This has been used by Hebrews. This has been used by Muslims. Sometimes this is used to represent the Seal of Solomon. This has been used by Christians to represent the crucifixion, to represent Christ. Okay, to represent the Star of Bethlehem as a form of protection. It's not until recent-ish history, you know, 20th century kind of shit, that this was adopted by neo-pagans and Wiccans. And it's used, again, as protection and banishment of evil spirits, but also to represent the 5 frickin' elements and the spirit. This is recognized by the US government to be used on headstones. It's a religious symbol. And throughout history, it's been used to represent health, protection, perfection. This is a good symbol. Now, what you're referring to is this symbol, because throughout history, people like to take symbols like the swastika and turn them and bastardize them. So this symbol is a pentagram, but if you turn it, it's used by the Satanic Church to represent Baphomet. Now, I'm going to explain why they chose this symbol. Because here, early Christians used this symbol with the point representing God at the top. So they turned it. So the point's at the bottom representing hell, Satan, Baphomet, whatever. I don't know if you've read anything about the Satanic Church or its history, but unlike another religion that I'm currently thinking of, they've never ran crusades to destroy entire cultures and people. Neo-pagans who use this symbol has never done crusades to destroy cultures and people. It's used for protection, my guy. So I highly recommend learning about a symbol before you insult it by calling it something it's not. Also, if I had to choose between Christianity or Satanism, hello, Baphomet!
Okay, so she just laid it all out there. And it's interesting to me how, I think the most common thing with the pentagram comes from TV and media, because they usually show the inverted, twisted one. And the problem is, like they also show usually upside down crosses and other religious symbols that are turned upside down. But apparently it never registered to the Christians that, the symbol, they just thought, ooh, evil, and then they just decided that no matter which way it's turned, that it's evil. So technically, the cross should also be evil because the inverted one's evil, so, upright one. So you see, like, the logic doesn't make sense. But the history lesson's pretty on point. The main use of the pentacle was for protection. The pentagram and the pentacle is the one with the circle around. Pentagram doesn't have a circle around it. Both used for protection, both used to symbolize all the things she said there. And yes, also if I had a choice between Christianity and Satanism, I would also go to the darker side, I guess. Well, actually no, the lighter side, because technically the Christians are the darker side, because, it's just kind of everything is like inverted, to be honest, because Christians are like, when you're brought up in Christianity, you're thought like, that's good, this is the white, and then everything else is the black. And then when you go out of it, you realize everything else was the white, the dark's actually the white, and the dark's actually the light. It's just, it's upside down. It's all upside down. And they purposely make it that way, and that's like biggest gaslighting, brainwashing stuff in my life. But yes, this is a recognized religious symbol, but it's not publicly accepted. Yes, and it is one of the oldest religious symbols in existence, so really don't get it why, there's all of this stigma around stuff. I mean, I partially blame media for it, but honestly, if you also believe everything you see in media and on TV, are you okay?
Is it recording? Who knows? I'm sitting back because I've got a few points to make on this, but I think my first point is that saying things like this is like telling a child, if you don't behave, Santa will give you coal instead of presents. You're not teaching morality, you're teaching fear. And that's an interesting, idea if you're going to be interrogating your religion and what you're actually trying to sell. The second point that I want to make is that humanity needs help right now. Why is God going to judge us in the future? The far future. It's always tomorrow. It's never today. God's always going to help us tomorrow. Pray, God might help you tomorrow. Never today. Why not today? Why not right now? That's always been a sticking point for me. Thirdly, I'm always interested why people say these things to atheists. This is the moral equivalent of me going, do you see my friend over there? He's going to hurt you. I'm not going to show him to you, but yeah, he's going to hurt you. Wave to the camera. He doesn't want to look at the camera. But he is going to hurt you if you don't do what I say. Oh, he's making big threats. Very big threats. Do you want to see? No? Okay. Fourthly, I'm always going to refer to any god as her. Sorry. It's a part of my personal belief. Every god is she. It's a part of my personal convictions. Cope. Third thing, the original video was specifically talking about Christian hatred and bigotry corrupting the original Christian message, which was ostensibly about love and salvation. But you're not bringing us love and salvation, you're bringing us hatred and bigotry and violence. This thing. You people need to take a course in marketing, because it's very much you telling us, buy my product, and us going, you know what, we don't like your product. And you going, if you don't buy my product, I'll hurt you. That's literally what you sound like. Take a course in marketing, seriously. It might benefit you.
Absolutely. So I do agree with this viewpoint, but the thing is, like, this guy, see, this is my like this quick little lesson about respecting religions. He said he believed that all gods are female and her. Me personally, I believe in divine feminine and divine masculine. I believe in yin yang energy. Certain energies are feminine to me, certain energies are masculine to me. Other people might experience those energies differently, and that is completely fine. But yes, that whole Christian hatred and bigotry, and it's just unnecessary. And I also would like to know why they always come to the people who don't frankly give a shit. We don't care, we don't give a shit. We're not on the same path, we're not following the same beliefs. Why preach to us? And if you're doing it to save us, why? You know, why bother? We don't want to be saved. Frankly, I was freaking, I came from hell, I was born in hell, I was born into hell, I was raised in hell, I live in hell, and I'm going to hell, okay? I'm gonna be in hell, because I don't want to be anywhere where you guys, all that Christies of ya, I don't want to be where the Christies are, okay? So if that's gonna be heaven, then me no go there, me no go, me out, me not want to spend eternity with idiots. So me go where the people with sanity and actual brain cells and logic go. So I'll be happy, I'll be fine, thank you very much. You do you, I do me. Like, the thing that I like about this videos is, like, most of these people that I'm talking about, like this guy, he has very interesting beliefs. A lot of the other people here, most of them are actually atheists, but a lot of these people have so many different beliefs, none of which is Christian. And the only people who seem to hate anyone in this whole freaking ride we have here are the Christies. And it's not even all of them. Like, some of the Christians are on our side, but the Christies, like I said, Christian Karens, they are awful. And they are the only ones hating.
Well, if you're seeing this face and that coat, then that means we're on part 4 of my series, How Christian Culture Promotes Grooming. I'm sorry. But here we go. Let's talk about modesty and lust. It was Jesus in the New Testament who taught that even thinking about a woman with lust in your heart is the same as acting on it. And Christian culture has run with that. And this is what has led to their focus on modesty. Specifically, they believe that men are fighting a constant battle against thought crimes. So the least a woman can do is to not tempt him. Women's bodies become problematic objects that must be hidden for the protection of men. And it starts so young. Little girls in diapers being told to pull their dresses down, to cover their knees. All of this to protect men from a thought crime. Men and women alike internalize the message that it is at least partially a woman's job to make sure a man does not lust, which leaves vulnerable little ones believing that they did this. They're responsible. Their own trauma is their fault.
So I agree with this, and I have a few things to say about this. First off, if you have it, like I don't have the other parts here. I just wanted to put this video in here because I have a bunch of things that I want to say about this. But I definitely recommend go checking out her channel, check the original video, check the other parts. Her videos are awesome, and you'll probably see me talk about her a lot, like I said. Anyway, I just really, her viewpoints are amazing. But yes, girls are being groomed from very young ages to basically cover up and things. And I was on this post poll the other day, and they asked, like, when was the first time you were basically objectified or sexualized by a man? And everyone said how old they were. A lot of them were so young. Personally, I was 5. First time man or male figure looked or touched or talked to me inappropriately. And I don't want to go into detail about what exactly occurred there. But yeah, I was 5 first time. And as someone who has endured many traumas with men and sexual abuse and assault, I feel like Christians really tend to victim blame when it comes to things like this, and that was a very difficult part for me. Like, I actually left Christianity not long after my whole assault situation. Like, after that, just the way they treated me, and it's just the last straw. It wasn't the only reason why I left. There's just so many reasons. I can make a whole video about that. But this was a big one for me, was me being violated by someone in the worst demeanor, losing my innocence in such a vile manner, unconsensually, someone violating your free will. And I talked about some of this in a previous video, the truth about my past or something, where I talked about my whole SA experience. Not everything. I cannot talk about everything on the internet, guys, because it's very gruesome, it's very horrible, and I frankly don't think I would be allowed to even talk about most of that on the internet, without violating guidelines or anything. So I just gave a little brief overview of some of the things that occurred, and if you guys want me to make an updated version of that, I will. If you guys want me to do maybe a Q&A thing about that, I can look into doing that, but victim blaming and Christianity is just, I don't even want to say anything about it. I just want to say to anyone who's endured any type of horrible deeds done to you, any abuse or anything, it's not your fault. Your abuse is not your fault. And I just need you to hear that. And you guys will always have a safe space here, a safe community, a safe space here on my channel, okay? And if you guys want to talk to me, share your stories, feel free to do so in the comments. If you don't feel comfortable with sharing it publicly, you are more than welcome to send me DMs on my socials. My socials are linked down below. I I am more than willing to support you guys through all of this, and there are communities out there, and there's people who can help. And unfortunately, you know, religion wasn't very helpful for, I don't know, if some of you found help through religion, then I am very happy for you. Because for most of us who endure horrible things, that's unfortunately not the case. And that just brings me back to the whole point about how they preach love and helping people, and then they just blame people for horrible things that happen to them and spread hate. So I'm very sorry for like having this be the last video in this playlist. We've reacted to 21 videos, and I have 2 more files with 21 videos each, and I just keep finding more of these videos. I have so many more reaction videos to do, these are just the TikTok ones as well. Like, I have so many YouTube videos I also want to do reaction videos on. There's a lot of more reaction videos coming, and hopefully some other exciting content. I am seeing how it goes. I tested out the live stream stuff a bit, might get a little into that every now and then. I don't want to do it too much to like bore you guys, but yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and that some of this made sense and that you agreed with some of these viewpoints. And if you guys want me to go into detail about specific topics, let me know, because I can talk about some of these subjects for a very long time, and this video is already getting quite lengthy. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for ending it off on a bit of a heavier note, though. But this is important. So hopefully this will stick with you, and these videos will give you something to think about. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy all the new aesthetic things. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and all the commentary. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, my spooky oogies.